Yeah, so I'm actually pretty happy to be making this video about where to take your kids, basically to the hospital. And, having three kids over the years, you just find yourself in this situation. You have to take one of the kids to hospital, okay? And having experienced like the waiting rooms at a lot of hospitals, I think I'm really hoping I finally discovered the right hospital, or like what to do when this situation happens. So, it might not be life-threatening. It might not be like they fell down the stairs. It could just be like something that's too urgent not to do anything, but like maybe even something just not just too urgent not to do something. Okay, and so or maybe you go to the GP. The GP tells you go to the hospital. Okay, so those situations are not that common, but you know that they're common enough, and the stress and everything together makes it very important. Okay, so the ones I want to talk about is this Wise Clinic. So I should mention I live in Carlingford, and these places are actually pretty close to me. So if they're not close to you, maybe um you might have to look for something. And then this is the Sand Hospital. Sand. I don't know if it's called the Sand, but it's basically the same place. So you might as well think of these two things. And I guess I want to contrast this to sort of just public hospitals. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. So I want to explain what this is about and what I want to do. Okay, so let me talk about Wise. Okay, Wise is something I discovered pretty recently, and I've been there quite a few times. Okay, and it's been a great experience. So um so I guess the difference between these two and public is that it's private. Okay, and I'll tell you about the cost as well. So when you go to the Wise Clinic, it's gonna cost you I think it's $260 per visit. So it's actually really simple. Like it's not like you go there and then like you have a menu of medical options and you pick and all this stuff. No, no, you go there, it costs you 260 to see a doctor, that's it. Okay? Um and the great thing is you don't have to wait. Like it's a very predictable process. So when I was in the public hospital, like I swear like every person that came in got put in front of me. Like sure my our thing wasn't um as serious looking as some of the other people's, but we just basically got ignored. And and what's worse is like if you ask questions, usually like I mean not all of the staff are bad, but some of them are pretty not helpful. Okay, and it's really annoying because like they don't really. It's like they always say, oh, the doctor's gonna save lives. They can't help you, or something really like I don't know, presumptuous or like they're not the doctors who are saying that to you. They're actually their only job is to kind of deal with you until you see a doctor. So basically, like instead of kind of being so dismissive and rude, frankly, they could try to be more helpful. And basically, in the public hospital, every time I've been, okay, it's been like it takes like 10 hours or something, okay. And every time I'm in the waiting room, there's always someone or someone that explodes at the staff at the hospital, and probably like it's just kind of something that always it's expected almost, right? Because of the way the staff deal with the people and the waiting times, it's so unclear, and then the people get impatient, and then there's always some sort of like yelling and something like this. It's not very pleasant. And also, if you're kind of sick or like your kid's sick, you don't really want to be at the hospital, you know? So it's like it completely. So I was like, wow, is this what I have to do every time? And that's not the case. Okay, so you can go to a place like Wise Clinic. This is in Macquarie, like near Macquarie Park. Okay, and so like sometimes you go in, you all you need is like a chest X-ray or an ultrasound. Like you go in, and then basically as soon as you go in, you're like less than an hour away from your ultrasound or like your X-ray or something. Um, and the first time I actually went, the ultrasound person wasn't there. Like they were on sick leave or something, and like they called in sick that day, and so they had to get a replacement. And that's what accounted for all the waiting time. And they actually were really nice about it, and they even gave me a discount because of how unexpected it was. But the point is, even with the delay, like my waiting time was predictable, so they told me when the person was going to come in, and and overall it was much less waiting time than the hospital had the hospital for basically the same test. Okay. And not only that, you get the result the same day. So I got the ultrasound result. Like pretty much the person doing the ultrasound gave me an idea. So I had a blood clot once, and then they said, "Oh, you have a blood clot." So I actually knew what was up, and then they gave me the report like right afterwards. Okay. So like I was very happy with my experience, and I think it's and the only thing is 260 for the first visit, but if you're doing a follow up, like I think it's like it could be half price. Okay, so for the same kind of the same problem. Um, yeah. So one of the disadvantages of this clinic is it's only open till 10 p.m. I think. So it's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So if you're doing something late at night, you can't really visit them. But a lot of these things, because and then some issues, you go to the GP, and the GP is like the GP wait is like probably longer than this if you just drop into a GP. Okay, and they'll refer you, and sometimes they predictably refer you to a hospital anyway, so you can probably just straight away go to the clinic. Okay, um, you know, um, okay, and I think 260 is actually a pretty good price considering the actual frequency of the visits. You're not going there every day. It's like once every, for us, it seems to be once every 3 months. Okay. Um, okay, so what about the 24 hours? So that's what we actually did this yesterday. Okay, we had to take our baby to the hospital, or almost 2-year-old. But this is a 24-hour emergency clinic, right? So you have to go to the emergency part. I was always a bit hesitant because it doesn't seem like it's an emergency, but it's not any other options either. Um, and they were really helpful. So they charge 335. So it's a similar business model, 335 per visit. Okay, but the parking becomes free. Okay, so you don't have to pay the $50 for parking. And um, yeah, they do this weird thing where the Medicare mails you the doctor's fee, and then you got to mail it to the doctor, which is kind of funny, but I don't want to talk about that. So 335, and then there's only one extra catch. It's $1,000 if you have to stay the night. So if for some reason you have to stay the night, like so if your condition isn't resolved, it's $1,000 per night, I suppose. Okay, but then the follow-up visits are only $55. Okay, so this is close to Fox Valley, Fox Valley Road. It's like I think you might consider it to be Wahroonga. Is it Wahroonga? So it's the Wahroonga Hornsby area. Or Hornsby. It's like in that area. Um, yeah, and obviously it's 24 hours. So we got to see a doctor within an hour of getting there, and we were out of there in like 3.5 hours. So we got there at like um roughly 11:30 p.m. and we were out of there by like 2 or 3. So part of there was 1 hour where it was kind of a necessary 1 hour because we were given some medication and the medication needed like an hour to take an effect. And so we waited that hour to see if the medication actually worked. And then it actually did work, and so that was great. And then we just went home from there. So maybe there was like about like an hour like an hour and a half of like sort of necessary just doctor interaction and medicine application, and then maybe the other 2 hours. Part of that was, waiting, filling out the form, and but we got moved to like a bed inside the hospital, inside the clinic, within an hour of getting there, and we were pretty comfortable. So, um, like overall, it was a very good experience. Um, yeah, and I would definitely recommend it. Obviously, I don't want the places to be full, and I can't go in there because everyone knows about it now. But I think like knowing about these two places were like it felt life changing for me because it's like the quality of life. Like you don't want to be stuck in these situations where you can't do anything, and like you might think it's a bit expensive, but for me, it's like totally worth the money you spend. Like you might not like you don't like I work kind of weird hours, so like if I do this, I don't miss out on work. I can make the money back, or like just save the energy, save the time, save the stress, and it's a very reliable thing. Whereas like in public hospital, it's just like you don't feel like a human being, okay? And you don't even like you're not even sure that you'll ever get seen. So in the public hospital, the thing that's very common is around 10 hours of waiting. So I'm not exaggerating here. Like it's literally 10 hours of waiting, okay? Without knowing if the wait will ever be over, okay? And then they kind of after 10 hours, if you ask like how long it might be, they kind of get annoyed at you, unreasonably. And every time with the public hospital, there's always someone that blows up, and there's always people that leave like after waiting like 8 hours and giving up, okay? That's something you can expect at the public hospital, and if that's worth saving the two or $300 for you, then that's your personal decision. But for me, um, I feel very liberated having the option to go to the Wise Clinic in Macquarie, and yesterday going to the Sand. I don't know, it's like some Saint Adventist hospital that it's in that same area. Okay, but yeah, so make sure like if you go after hours, you go and park in the emergency, and yeah, and the Wise Clinic has their own parking. I think the address has changed slightly, but I think they're still in the Macquarie area. Okay, I hope that's helped you. I mean, as much as knowing this has helped me, and obviously I wish nothing bad to happen to like your kids and stuff. So like, I think this is the best way. Um, I think this is the best way to manage a lot of these crises. All right, thanks for listening. Subscribe if you found it helpful.